This is WGRG 100.5 FM, where we meet the absolute minimum FCC broadcasting standards. It's time to hang on and brace yourself for a community radio program that's frankly indescribable. Let's talk Geneseo. Two guys with nothing better to do on a Friday morning but to talk about our community. Geneseo City Administrator Brandon Meglin and City Alderman Keith Kennett. And yeah, nobody, and I mean nobody, puts the blah in blah, blah, blah like these guys do.
Well, Brandon, I do have to say that may have been one of our more interesting transitions.
Yes.
From our musical tune playing at the time into our intro, but we are here and back for Let's Talk Geneseo on this Friday morning. Had a little holiday last Friday. Hope everything went well with your fun adventures.
Yeah, spent a few days down south in Nashville. Good time. Nice little getaway. So back in action this week.
Well, that's all good. Good to have you back.
Yeah.
And we have a special guest with us this morning. Every morning we have a special guest with us, but this one's a little extra special, and because a lot of people are familiar with Dalkin and all he does, and we're kind of techno brothers of sorts in our path crossing and what have you. But the first time even for Dalkin in the studio here, and you don't want to use the word underwhelmed, but it could be a little. It's nice to kind of show off our digs and stuff, but again, you pull back the curtain sometimes and you go, that might be it a little bit with us. But anyway, we'll turn it over to you, Brandon, and to do the introduction for Dalkin.
Yeah, welcome, Dalkin D. Marionville. Geneseo Current
thank you.
Joins us this morning here. Yeah, I mean, is this overwhelming? I feel like you're building out a full TV studio over there on Summers.
You talk about that, then I come in here.
Yeah.
And I can see that's cool, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool. So
yeah.
But no, really, we have a lot of fun over there, and we try to make it fun when the people come in and hang out with us. So we just talk about things kind of like this. We just do it a little bit differently as far as the video aspect of all that.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's we'll rewind a little bit. And Current's been around for a while now. I can remember, what's it been, probably 5 or 6 years that we really lost a locally focused newspaper here in Geneseo. That was around COVID timeframe. I guess I don't remember the exact year, but we talked a lot of people, and I guess our paper kind of turned into what they call a ghost paper in the media landscape, where we have a Geneseo title at the top of the page, but we see stories from across the Midwest and Central Illinois, and sure, legal ads locally, but not really a lot of local coverage. And I know that kind of started your adventure and your story.
I'll say it first, and I've said this, when I speak somewhere. I said, what's happened to that, to what was our local newspaper, is really unfortunate, and it's tragic in a sense. When you talk about one of the oldest businesses in Geneseo and how long it existed, and we all grew up with that, Keith, and there was a time when we would run to pick up that paper to see if our baseball photo was in there, or a football photo, or something like that. And there was a, it must have been at some point in 2018, I guess. I'd been rolling it around for a while, and thinking about this, and I had my video production company, and that was doing okay. But there was this gap, and you could just see what was happening, in local print. And I just had a framework in mind. I didn't even have anything written down. And so I presented it to my wife like at 9 o'clock at night, which is always the best time. You guys know, right? I'm sure you guys have done the same thing.
Yes.
Like, what do you think about this new deck, right?
It seemed like a good idea.
Right. And she looked at me when I said, what do you think about this? And she looked at me and she pointed her finger and she said, you're crazy. It was a little bit more colorful than that, and we don't want the FCC to pull a license, so I can't tell you exactly what she said. But so I dropped it, for a month or so, maybe more. That was a long time ago. You think about it.
Yeah.
And I gathered my thoughts a little bit more, and I draw a much more defined framework, and I presented it again. And it was, let's go. She wasn't on board immediately, but I knew that I had to get other people on board with me because it was going to be a huge undertaking. And it is. And it's only gone one way, since we really launched. We'd been working on it for more than a year. The three of us, Garrett, Art, myself, we started just on social media. And we started with local sports because that's what we knew how to do initially. But the long-term plan, which the 5-year plan, which we had written out and drawn out in its entirety, had things like local news. But we knew what we were going to do and what we weren't going to do because there's certain things that we weren't going to touch. And so the local news was going to be part of it, and so was a website. Well, the website took about a year, somewhere between 8 and 12 months to put together. So while we were just using social media in its entirety, the website was being polished and buffed and all that stuff. So when it was ready, it went live, and it was clean. It was all ready to go. And we started with graduation in 2020. You're right. And there was a lot of questions about that. And it was, when are we actually going to go? Because we were just sitting there waiting because, COVID happened, and we just sat there. And it was like, all right, let's go. And they was like, are you sure? Well, yeah, let's go. Let's go because people want something positive. If they want something, because that was the first year of the parade, right? Mm-hmm. And in fact, you were the lead car in the parade that year.
Yeah, we tried a filming thing that worked kind of interesting, but tried to make it as special as you can for the students and stuff that are working through this. But yeah, and to share a little bit too, Dalkin, and you referenced it, is that technology evolves, and we're both kind of part of that. But when we lost the Republic, and there's no longer a Tom Terry and somebody with a passion of the community. And Lisa did a wonderful job, too, even in that transition time. But, the community really did lose something. And what you guys have, built and replaced that with basically, providing what it did, but using, current technology and the way we communicate today and stuff. But yeah, I don't want to say that the city was rudderless or what have you, but it's one of those things you don't know what you had until it's gone. Mm-hmm. And that was certainly the case with the Republic, and what you guys have done with Geneseo Current really has filled that void and expanded upon it because of all the things you do, even beyond covering local news. But I know additionally you do other things with Steve Kastorf, and it's just a whole community focus that you're doing.
It's when we started it, we knew that that in today's world that you can't just do social media. Obviously, you can't just do a website. That anything that you begin now has to be a media company. You can't just be news. That's just the way it rolls. And so all of this stuff, we knew that there were going to be shows to some degree, but what degree? That was the question. So all of this has evolved, and talking to my mentors, like, don't be afraid to let things evolve over time. And so that's what we've done. So, it started with the history show because this community is very unique. Geneseo embraces its history rather than enjoy it. Well, of course it enjoys it, but it doesn't just kind of put it in a corner and just kind of let it sit there. It embraces it every day. And so we really present that in a very unique way. Steve does so much homework on that, and I just kind of make color commentary and just let him talk, or we go on location. We have another location we're going to do this year, probably 2. So that's really a lot of fun. There's other things we got in the works too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to talk about as well. The current magazine.
Yeah.
I know that was a big deal for you guys to roll out, to actually get something in print back into every mailbox in the city of Geneseo. And I mean, it's such a beautiful magazine. I mean, you guys do an amazing job, in the coverage, and the city has purchased, ad space in there to promote our events and things going on as well. But can you tell us about that process and what it took to get back in the? I know there was kind of a call from the community to want something that you can still hold in your hand.
Where do I begin with that?
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, and there's a lot of ways to go with this. You're absolutely right. When you talk about print, I mean, every medium has its place, whether it's web, whether it's social media, whether it's email. But print has a special place, and initially, it was. We're going to do a print magazine, and they'll, Geneseo or just people in general can pick it up at these locations around town, whether it's a hospital, city hall, and businesses, things like that. But now being able to distribute it to every home in town is such an incredible avenue for us to be able to utilize and to be able to do it in a very cost-effective way. And that took the right printer and distributor to be able to make that happen.
Yeah.
And to be able to do all of the design in house. And we're
Turn me down there.
you got some touchy mics there.
I'll turn it down later.
Thank God for post. So,
Clean it up in post.
but really, it's that's one of those things that the community has responded just so positively to. In every way.
Yeah.
So.
We need a cough symbol.
Well, they do
Can I
make
do
these.
one of these?
They make these little buttons, Brandon, that normally you just push it in to kill it when you need to cough. But that's phase 3 budgeting.
Yeah.
And stuff. So we'll get to that. But and you've shared it some, Dalkin, but maybe just for, I think everybody's familiar with Geneseo Current and what have you.
Yeah.
But maybe we could take a step back a little bit to, just again, what exactly is it in a 30,000 foot overview? How can you access it? Website,
sure.
social media, all that stuff.
So at the current, now it's my turn.
And I'll turn yours down later too, Dalton.
We'll warn you next time so you can hit that mute button.
There you go.
Really, the goal of the magazine, I'll back up. The goal of the magazine is really to celebrate the people, places, and events. And at the current, we do a lot of that as well, providing local news. When you talk about things that we don't, we steer away from the things that divide our community, those hot button topics, right? That are going to just splinter things. We want to use the current as a vehicle that's going to unite Geneseo rather than divide it. And in today's world, that's so important. And we established that early on, right? We've taken some flack for that too, but we're sticking to that principle. But also the current is a vehicle for education as well. And we're definitely going down that road right now with the city and the schools and other municipalities and how important that is. And we're finding that. And the community has responded very strongly to that. I'd say at least a few times a week at how much people appreciate the educational aspect. And not just from you, obviously. People really appreciate that. So, whether it's the website, whether it's the email that goes out every week, whether it's the magazine, whether it's the shows, and then the other avenues, GeneseoCurrent.com has 30,000 visitors a month. And that's just part of the overarching 1.4 average million views that we see every month. Now, that's views. That's not viewers. That's eyes. And that can be distributed however that is.
Mm-hmm. So what's coming up in the future? I know that, I don't know what you want to give away, but I know you have some things in the works in the studio with some upcoming program ideas and things of that nature, and more video production, it sounds like.
So, right now we have, I think, 5 shows Well, we have 4 shows and we have 2 podcasts. We have Hidden History, which is such a huge show and it takes so long to produce, because if all the history has to be correct. If there's one fact wrong in the history, then somebody will call that out. So Steve's work in that has to be absolutely accurate all the time. No pressure, Steve. But then the post work on that, can be so time consuming, because it's really easy for a show like that to go 30 minutes. So Steve not only has to do his work and make sure that all the details in there has to be relevant, because if there's details in there that's not all that important, you can have a 40-minute show. Then I have to go in and say, okay, this is all fluff, and cut it out. Because if you have a half-hour show, people are just going to exit out and go on to the next thing. Mm-hmm. That's just the nature of the internet, right? And so we have Hidden History. That's about every 2 months. And our next show for Hidden History, we're doing something really, really, really special. And it's the last show of the first season. And we're going to do this every season with history. It is about the people that gave Geneseo its identity. Mm. And the first person we're going to look at is Bill Newlab. Mm. And so when you think about what Bill did with the Knights Drum and Bugle Corps, he was out here at every track meet for years and years and years as a timer and all that. He was that person who took music and athletics and put them together, and he was just he was one of those pillars here in town. I'm sure Keith could talk about Keith for a long time.
Excellent choice, and and we're blessed in this community in that you'll have no lack of others to do programming on.
That's right. And
it's nice to highlight that. And a lot of times it's how did we get here, and you need to know that history matters.
It's if we've talked about at the current, if we don't tell the stories, then they'll end up getting lost. And those are those kinds of stories that need to be told. So we have that, on Mondays, and this is what you were talking about. Last Tuesday, we just filmed our first cooking show. It's called The Current Kitchen, and it's hosted by Kim Schwarzkopf of The Spotted Apron. And so that's super exciting. She is an absolute natural. She knocked it out of the park, did the whole thing on one take. And so that was a whole lot of fun. And yes, there are things that will be happening in the studio with that. Right now, we did film that at a different location. But yes, there will be stuff happening in the studio, and we'll be talking about that as soon as we're ready to announce all that will be going on in there. But let's see, on Tuesday we have the Maple Leaf Coaches Corner podcast, hosted by Bill Horrell. And that always draws a lot of ears to watch and to listen to that. Wednesday nights is Geneseo Now, which is for Geneseo. It's about Geneseo, and people always watch that. Let's see, Thursday nights is The Human Side of Healing, which is Hammond Henry Hospital's show. Friday night, we've got something coming on Friday nights that'll be later in the evening, and that's
intriguing.
That's going to not be so much an informational show. That will be an entertainment kind of show.
Brandon's getting choked up thinking about it.
Yeah. But let me just say that that people need to laugh, and that's what it's going to be.
A little teaser there.
People need to laugh.
Wow.
There you go.
So that's one of those things that people need to laugh, and we haven't tied up all the details. I'm not going to say that it's certainly going to happen. We definitely have to shoot some test shots on that, make sure that it's going to work with
Do
people.
a pilot episode.
Yep, that nobody may never see, but that just has to happen. And then Saturday morning we have Sarah Says Things, and that's just a podcast from a weekly column. Mm-hmm. That's just snark and fun and all that kind of stuff about different topic every week.
Yeah, I listened to the social media one that she did recently, and I'll just say spot on. We'll leave it at that.
Sticky floors. It's just fun.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate everything you guys are doing and how
Absolutely.
you cover things. And like you said, I think paying attention to what's going on, not just at City Hall, but school district, other agencies as well, and then trying to research and post things about topics that are out there, or how the city government works, or how the school board works, how the county works, how taxes work, and really looking at that component of people want to consume these small information bites, and I know that it's tough to explain some of these issues in a social media format, but I mean I guess from my perspective, appreciate what you guys are trying to do, trying to at least get that education out there. But yeah, to get somebody to read, a 3-page paper on how this system or how this state of Illinois statute works is tough, right? Mm-hmm.
I mean, you guys are both in the cityscape. How do you put it out there? Because Sarah looked at me and she's like, how do I explain this?
Yeah.
And I can't tell you the words that I said, but how do you? I mean, it was really, really hard to take the legalese and boil it down to every man's talk.
Yeah.
Right? And but it's been so positive.
Yeah.
It's been so positive.
It has been, and one thing though, and we live in an age, too, where communication and really transparency and stuff is more attainable than ever. But it is odd in that it seems though that even with all these avenues open, that how often though things aren't understood properly, or trying to discern between, okay, well here are these 30 silos of information, which one is accurate, which one isn't. And so it really does fall, what you're doing and what everyone with the city's, trying to do is to, again, just try to get the accurate information out there. But sometimes it does get lost in the fog of all things, social media and other things. And so that's why, having this voice and a clearly defined purpose of, it's going to be a positive focus, and that doesn't mean that you don't cover things that maybe in some ways may not be positive, but you can still do that though in a way towards just presenting facts. These are the facts. Everyone's welcome to have their opinions and what have you, but we've kind of lost that, and it's good that you're bringing that back. And I think that is really what we lost most with the paper, is having that, well, here are the facts. And again, you can decide and discern whatever you want from that, but it's important. And we found out just how much when we didn't have it, and great that the Current is back and bringing it back and making it better than it was. So all good.
And it's too, and we dealt with this a few weeks ago. When we said that, yeah, we do sometimes shut things down when it gets to that personal level.
When it gets chippy.
When it gets chippy, or we do remove personal attacks and things like that.
Right.
And that's something that we're just not going to promote, and we're not going to, because there's a whole mess of things that can happen because of that.
No need for it, no place for it.
No.
It does nothing to help the, So try and set a good example. You set a much higher good example than we do here at at good old TV 50 and what have you. But that's it. At the end of the day, we're part of a community here.
Yeah.
And we all want what's best, and we get it. And it's nice to be highlighting on all the positive things we have, because again, you can focus on this little negative thing, and you're missing the mountain of good that's going on.
Well, you've got all that right going on back here.
Yeah, Dalkin, I'm just happy it's working. I think this is going out, but I'm pretty sure we're okay. But
Well, thank you for being here, sir.
Is that it? I mean, I can
That's
talk
it.
about the Current for a long, long, long time.
No, you can jump into some of these. We've got a small list of reminders and things going on in the city that we want to remind everybody of, as we do in most shows. But
and Dalkin, again, we have a way of re-roping you back in. So there's always a spot here at Let's Talk Geneseo for you.
Hey.
or TV 50 anywhere. Always a spot
Get
for
Sarah in
you
here
as well.
next time.
Yes.
Oh man. Well, how much snark do you want?
We like snark. There you go.
Just depends how we feel that day.
Exactly. Okay. Well, thanks, Dawkins, very much.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to take a moment, Keith, and want to recap last Friday. I was out of town, but we had Arbor Day in Geneseo. It was the first Arbor Day as officially being named a Tree City USA, recognized nationally by the Arbor Day Foundation, the state of Illinois Department of Natural Resources. We're proud to be part of that group and have checked all the boxes of what it takes to be considered a Tree City USA. And it's a nice plaque, but it also puts us in line for potentially future grant opportunities and things that revolve around tree plantings and tree care. So it's a good club to be a part of.
Right. And hats off to staff for a lot of work and the whole process of getting approved for all that. And a lot of it goes to the man sitting to my left.
Yeah. Good job, Dalton.
So
Oh,
good
other
job on
left,
that.
wait.
Oh,
Which
Brandon.
left?
The other left. I don't know.
No, we want to thank Daughters of the American Revolution Geneseo chapter. They participated in that. We tied Arbor Day this year into the America 250 celebrations that we're going to be honoring all this year. They really wanted to be involved in planting. Idea started as what they're calling a Liberty tree down there at the city landing area, State and Oakwood, and it evolved into 2 Liberty trees. So commemorating America's 250th birthday through the DAR, participating and planting those 2 trees and tying it right all into Arbor Day was kind of a nice thing to do. And they spoke down there at the event along with the mayor, and that was nice. We got a lot of other things coming up with the America 250 theme this year. We did Geneseo Current put up the story about what the DAR and the city are doing for a photo contest for Geneseo students. That's going to be a neat thing. We are in May now. May through August 15th, the city, in coordination with the DAR, will be releasing, we call it the Passport Photo Contest, but different locations in Geneseo that have historic ties, and encouraging Geneseo students to go out and take pictures of those locations, maybe do something fun or creative with those locations, and keep a passport book of all these photos as they're released over the next few months, and then turn them in a creative, some kind of photo collage collaboration to the DAR, and they're going to have a judging contest on creativity, and then they'll announce winners at the city's Labor Day celebration, which will be on September 5th this year, up at Richmond Hill Park. So encourage any parents or grandparents or guardians listening, if you got a kid that likes to take pictures, or this is kind of a neat way to tie it to our history and get outside and away from the screens for a little while and participate in this. So
Awesome.
yeah. What else, Keith? The meeting on Tuesday, we announced we should shout out to the electric utility here in Geneseo Municipal Utilities, received the Excellence in Reliability by the American Power Association. I think the stats were that they measure this and give these awards based on outage times. So looking back at 2025, Geneseo's average outage time, I believe it was 49 minutes versus the U.S. average of 169 minutes for an electric outage. And that's just hats off to everybody in the electric department, as well as Public Works and other city staff that, a lot of times when there's big outages, you have street department coming out, you have water, you have sewer sometimes, you have lift station issues that there's kind of a full-on response when, if it's a storm-related outage, right, that affect all the utilities to help get the electric guys back in there and get the power restored properly. So it's a neat thing that happened this week as well. Probably talk about projects too. I saw the Current put up a photo of the North Water Tower here in Geneseo. That's the full rehabilitation project of the North Water Tower that has started. That'll be going on throughout the month of May. That's a full There's a lot of surface work, interior work that's going on now, and then that's a full blasting of the tower down to the metal and a multi-coat paint job that'll be going on that tower. Big project going on. North State Street project, full reconstruction of the roadway. We see the intersection at Ogden up here at the school, Ogden and State, still closed. That will reopen early next week to traffic. And then the project will continue south of the intersection through this summer. So, again, the in project, there's significant complete date on that is the start of school in August. So, roadway being back open, and yes, Delkin knocks on the table, but that is the contractor's timeline on that. And there will be some pieces of the project still going on after school starts, of course, but getting the roadway reopened by the start of school in August is the mark that everybody is shooting for on that one. So,
And as it moves along, again, it is nice that we were able to work things out to get this to be the final phase and not spread it out over another season as well. So it'll be nice when it's done. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yep. We should probably also mention that spring cleanup starts on Monday. This is the junk cleanup days. We have garage sale days going on right now through tomorrow, Saturday, and then it's junk pickup. So put your junk out by the curbside. Check out the city's website for your day of pickup, your quadrant when the trucks will be in your area, and the rules surrounding junk pickup. Again, the rules are there so that not going to be out there with a tape measure, but we ask that you don't unload your whole garage into the city street. That's not going to.
A lot of it is common sense and what have you. And we get to we hear it. You make your nice pile, and then maybe have somebody comes and picks through it and disperses it all over the right away and that sort of thing. But just do what you can and make it as neat as you can. But it's not meant to be a cleaning out a entire house and having tons of trash and stuff out there. But so follow those, get close to those rules at least that we have posted.
Let's talk about that for a bit.
Sure. And another thing.
This isn't the time to clean out the studio, Dalton, with everything that's been in that back room for 20 years.
It's an old Saticon camera. Yeah.
No e-waste out there.
Come on, that's true. Yeah.
Right. E-waste is in September.
Right.
We should probably announce too, Keith. We saw from the Geneseo Chamber of Commerce that Lindsay Akers has been hired as the new executive director of the chamber. Mm-hmm. She's going to be on the program next Friday, May 8th, along with Mark Gravichetsky. So we'll hear an introduction on her, and that will be nice as she starts on Monday, this upcoming Monday, May 4th, with the chamber and gets rolling. Mm-hmm. So. What else? Those are my notes. Dalkin, anything?
Art Walk went well last Saturday. Heard good things. Event. I know the museum. We had big numbers and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it went well.
Steve said they had 400 people go through the museum on that day.
Wow.
And then Jenna at the chamber, she said that was the biggest art walk they'd ever had.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, farmers market out in the middle of State Street. Appreciate them being out there and helping to draw a nice crowd and making the street be nice and full, along with the artists that were in many of the galleries and stores and music going on. John Puentes doing a fabulous job as always down on the south end of the event, playing all day, and noticed people gathering throughout the day down at his store down there. And then you had musical entertainment down at the main intersection on First and State too. So I think it turned out to be a good day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So hats off to everybody that pulled that together and made it happen.
Yeah.
As always, a lot of people behind the scenes that dedicate their time.
Yep.
All right. Well, Brandon, we can pull the plug. We're over limit a little bit. Not that we have a limit, but I think pretty much our listeners tuned out a while ago. Yeah. When I started talking, that's usually when we have a drop-off.
Yeah, well.
Something like that.
you know.
All right. Well, with that, but seriously though, Dalkin, great having you in.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome anytime, and hope to have you back and all that. Brandon, always a pleasure. We'll see you then next Friday. And to all our viewers and listeners, we appreciate you tuning in and taking in this edition of Let's Talk Geneseo.
So this is like church. You can show up and talk as long as you want, but Keith cuts you off at 8 o'clock.
Yes,
Is that it?
Well, ish.
It's more like confessional doubt.
That's how it works. You just air your grievances, and that's it.
We have the airing of the grievances, and then that's it.
We don't want to evolve into that show. We'll let the current do that.
Yes. That's awesome.
The evolution.
Why do you guys take it on? And with us, everything's always an
That'd be
ish.
an awesome sketch show. Welcome to Confessional.
Here's your Friday night show.
Hey, maybe that we take to Saturday night.
Oh,
Yeah, maybe.
There you go.
that'd be a good sketch show.
Could be. We'll work on that. All right.
It's
But
time to sign off. Right
exactly. Yep. But thanks everyone for listening, and you've been listening to WGRG 100.5 FM in Geneseo. Have a great weekend.